Welcome to the Ramblecast After Dark. What, the RCAD?
Yeah, I know.
Nick. Do we usually just start you with a song?
We just start with the song. We don't unless I don't have a song, then we announce it. But if I do have a song, we just go right into it.
God. I'm really rusty at
yeah.
producing. It's like, how does this work? Where is the record button? Okay, anyway. Lead us on with a song, and we'll just edit this part out.
I'm waiting for Jack with my friends Matt and Chris. About to podcast, feeling sick. Oh wait, no, sorry. Feeling sick and dirty, but we're dead in the light. I'm waiting for Jack.
Woo!
Nicely done. Well, Nick, that was your best one yet.
Thanks, Jack.
You know what I liked about it is that it went with the theme of the artwork that I made for this episode. We're recording Sans Jack tonight because we were basically like, who would we rather have on the show, Chris or Jack?
Well, to be fair, I made the request because my Boston Bruins are playing in Game 6 of the first round of the playoffs tomorrow night, and quite honestly, I don't fucking want to record tomorrow night because of that. I want to go to a bar and watch the game. So
nice.
That's my plans. So here we are tonight. Jack was so graciously bowed out for us to record tonight, so we wouldn't miss a week, or I wouldn't miss a week.
I bet he'll pop in. Because,
dude, he like jumped at the opportunity too. He's like, "Hey, if you guys want to leave, record without me, well, I won't mind." Like, oh, okay, Jack. Shows how much he cares about the listeners.
I mean, think about it though. I mean, he podcasts at least 2 days every week of the year.
Yeah.
So
no
I sometimes 3. Yeah.
No thanks.
And we just free him up for his baseball show on Thursdays. So
that's right.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just the 3 of us tonight.
Just the 3 of us.
I had seriously considered just making this an Owen and Beru's May the 4th be with you themed episode.
There's not a whole lot to fucking talk about, though, is there?
Yeah, I figured we'd talk a little bit about it because Bad Batch ended today.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch that.
I know you're not current on Bad Batch, but Nick, did you watch it yet?
I did watch it. I watched it during lunch. Yeah.
I was really satisfied. So, and I don't want to spoil anyone on it. Nick was less than satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was adequate. I mean, it wasn't crap, but it wasn't like, I didn't have that feeling. What are you pointing at, Chris?
You want me to add the comment?
Did he also skip out on? He's having a podcast night off. That sounds like.
So.
Good for him. Old man deserves it.
Well, I mean, it was things that it was more loose ends, I guess, is what I was more disappointed in than the finale. Actually, how they ended the story.
Sure. Because, I mean, there's definitely characters where you're kind of like wondering what happened to them, what happened to this story.
They never got back to Cody. They never got back to Ventress. It's like, well, okay, whatever.
I would imagine we're getting something more in the animation.
I'm sure.
There has to be because there's definitely there's more there, I think. We never thought we were going to get more of Clone Wars.
No.
So, the fact that we had that, which led to the Bad Batch, I don't know. I was more moved by like some of the events that happened in this than, let's say, I don't know. I felt more emotionally invested in certain characters, even though I know the characters that were in Ahsoka, like there were certain stakes and characters that I was like really worried about. So it kept the tension going. And
now
the show's not perfect. It has some like filler episodes and some here and there. But this last season was really cool how they tied together the first 2 seasons, and they really kind of fill in, like, so even some of those filler episodes do have ramifications with characters that you see them coming back to throughout this third season. So
I mean, I still think, the first episode of the first season is so good, that like everything I think after that was just naturally a letdown. But it's still a good show.
My son and I, we had done a rewatch right before this season started, and it was nice to get that refresher, because there are certain characters that pop up in this third season that you're like, if you blink, you're almost kind of like, you wouldn't even realize, oh yeah, that has this connection to this, So anyway,
I do have one question that is somewhat spoilery.
Oh, okay.
So in this last episode, they don't show it. They mention this character's name.
Mm-hmm.
And in the fight scene, right there towards the end, what's the clone troopers that are now
right,
like the elite squad versus them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where a helmet gets kind of knocked off, and you see these 2 red, big circular things inside the helmet, and I kind of wondered if it was a certain character.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, so. And and that's all they show of it. But it's one of those things where, because so like when the head scientist is kind of telling Hunter, like, hey, like, I've improved now how we can convert you over to super soldiers or whatever. It made me think, and then you see, like, in the next scene, that helmet, and you go, is that what I think he's saying? So, and that's it. That's all that's implied with it.
Yeah.
But I wondered if that was that character.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at that to pick up on that. So I felt I really enjoyed the epilogue.
I think if it didn't have the epilogue, it would have been deflated to me. The epilogue was good.
Yeah. I liked the tension, or the moments kind of leading up towards the end. So and what happened to certain characters. So anyway, it's it might be a while before we get another series. I don't know. We have Tales of the Empire that's coming out, which I think is just a 2 episode.
Oh, really?
Or maybe it's 6. It would make sense.
6 again. But.
Yeah. But they're focusing on 2 characters, Morgan Elsbeth, who we saw in Ahsoka.
Well, that's what they did last. That's what they did with Tales of the Jedi too. So.
And then
who's in Ahsoka?
I'm trying to remember who the other character is that it focuses on now, and I'm blanking on who the.
Didn't it Oppress and.
Luminara.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's the other character.
I think it's her. Yeah, her. And,
but it looks now like it'll have a lot of dark side elements,
which I will love. Yeah.
When I saw the trailer for that, I was like, "Oh, Nick should really enjoy this."
Yeah, anything dark side I tend to love, just because it's such an unexplored territory. And I think that's why I love Ventress so much. Ventress to this day is still my favorite character in all of Star Wars, which is, I know I'm in the minority with a lot of people there, but I just always liked it because, like, she to me represented, a lot of conflict. Like, she was raised Jedi, became evil, not really because she wanted to become evil, because I just had a bitterness of what happened to her master. And then she's just used and thrown away this entire time by Dooku. And then, you see her, redemption arc, and it's like, this is such a great character,
Right.
And I always, every time I see anybody cosplay as Asajj, I'm just like, yeah. Because you just don't see how many women are out there willing to either shave their head or put on the bald cap and go completely ghost pale.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, then there's the other character with the ponytail. What's her name? She's also got like pretty much a shaved head. Pale.
I always forget her name too.
I know that most people didn't tune in for us to talk about Star Wars, but we might as well
Yeah,
for
whatever.
a hot sec. What did you guys see any of the new Lego sets for the Star Wars Day?
Well, I
Did
already
you
knew
look
most of them
at-
that were going to come out. They'd already come
Yeah.
out. I definitely ordered 300 worth of Legos today because it's always double. It's always double the points. So I'm like, okay, God, I think my wish list right now on Lego.com is easily $6,000 worth of Legos.
What?
And, yeah, and it's like, it's just all Star Wars stuff to get the extra points.
Really? Okay.
If anyone out there is into Legos and you're not a Lego, fan or club member or whatever, never buy them at Walmart or Target unless it's just a super awesome deal. Like always get them on Lego.com or in the store because getting those VIP points, like I said, I think it was like
but you can submit your receipts from Target, I believe.
Oh, can you?
For VIP points now. Yeah.
I think
cool.
I think Target is
just Target.
Just Target. The other thing to watch out for Lego fans is the booklets. So if you've been saving the booklets, there's QR codes, not on all of them, but on a lot of them, there's QR codes. And it doesn't matter. It can be a $7 set. You scan that QR code and you automatically get 20 points. So it'll prompt you to take a survey. You could just hit skip and you still get the 20 points.
Ew.
So I cashed in a ton that we just had like collected for a long time, and they started offering that, and I was like, okay, this is worth it. I'm just not a big TIE interceptor kind of guy. I'm not like a TIE fighter.
It does look pretty cool though.
Well,
it looks pretty cool. That's the Corvette of their cars that they're
I personally like the TIE interceptor. Of all the TIEs, it's my favorite probably. But
it's pointy.
It's pointy, yeah. It's very scary looking. It's fast. It's the equivalent of I guess because it's me coming from playing X-wing and TIE fighter, and then the TIE interceptor was the A-wing, and so like as an equivalent, and so I was like, yeah, I was
fast as fuck, boy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But those collector series ones, even though they're huge, are worth a shit ton. Within a matter of a few years, because I had bought some of them when they first came out, and I remember having the B-wing, and the B-wing was like this big. I mean, it's my arm span for people can see. It was huge, and I remember paying like $110 for it. Which was back in 2013, that was a shit ton of money for me. And you can buy that Lego now is insane because it's over 10 years old. Like to get it,
sure,
that old B-wing. But then there's other ones are like the Millennium Falcon, the big one, like that won't be worth anything because it's been in production for 5 years now. But then those ones that they put out for like 1 year and then they take them away, like
there was an A-wing that was like that, I remember, and that's gone.
So. Yeah, I have the A-wing. I've tried to buy them if I can. I don't want because I didn't buy Slave One because I remember seeing it through the window going.
You mean Boba Fett
Starship?
Ship?
Yeah,
Starship.
But I didn't buy that because I remember seeing how big it was, and I already owned like 2 or 3 of the smaller ones. I was like, I'm good.
This shows you the level of ineptitude and just like head in the sand, like not figuring out the solution. But to rename it Boba Fett's Starship when everybody knows that it's a fucking fire spray. So you want to get technical and you don't want to use the word slave. Okay, so but it's a disservice and a big dick slap in the face to all the fans that are like, no, it's a fucking fire spray. Like we've played games with it. It's been called this. We know the model. Just use the fucking model number. Like teach the next generation. But no, it's all about, what is the fire spray? I don't know. Anyway, figure it out, kid. It's the Boba Fett ship. Okay, yeah, Jackson Glatfelter. I know we're talking heavy on the Star Wars, but come back and visit us.
We'll be here.
I know there's a Survivor podcast, but we're the true survivors, really.
It's kind of like just going back to collectibles and things that will be worse. Even though I take mine out of the boxes, I don't all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah,
those scenes, I guarantee the scenes that they're putting out, like this one is the episode 1 pod race.
Yeah.
Then you've got Emperor's Throne Room, you've got the speeder bike chase from Return of the Jedi. You've got
the trash compactor. I think they've retired that one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What else? You got the trench run.
Yoda's.
Yoda's
hut.
On Dagobah, like those things, because they're kind of a series. It seems like Chris getting the helmets. Like anything that's a series that they only put out for like a short time and then they keep building it. Those are the ones that tend to be worth the most because people want the whole series.
Yeah, and they'll always go back. So even if somebody gets into the series late, they're going to be like, "Oh, I need to go ahead and get Bush's, trooper helmet or whatever." So, the one that I was looking at was the pod racing scene because I do have a lot of the other vignettes that they have in that series, and I secretly want to get the bonus stuff.
That's the main reason to buy stuff on May 1st to the 5th is to get
the Trade
stuff.
Federation troop carrier.
Yep.
I
got all three because you get like there's a Yavin. There's something I didn't see what it was. It's a Yavin.
Battle of Yavin coin.
Okay, yeah. So I got that. You get
logo.
You get the AAT, and then the troop.
Yeah, that the little mini Millennium Falcon looks pretty awesome too, but I just can't justify spending $90.
I
so much money.
And
size of my hand.
And some of that stuff you really have to kind of look at, like, what are you getting for it? Because they made a young Jedi set that is it's $50 worth of bullshit. It's just because you want to get the Nubs blue figure, which, by the way, who doesn't want a furry bear with a lightsaber? But $50 and it's a kid's set? Get fucked.
It's the same thing as like with the Mandalorian season 3, one with the little spider, like the mechanical spider thing. Things like $59.99, and it's the dumbest set ever. Nobody wants it. The only reason to buy it is because it's got the super rare, dark saber, and I'm forgetting her name.
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. Yep. That Bo-Katan is the only Bo-Katan that's actually like screen accurate because she has like the pink on her helmet.
There's another set that I think they did with her. I thought
there is, but
it's like
it's
a two fighter. Okay.
Yeah, it's the fighter. Like it's like her helmet is just blue and white, whereas in that one actually has the pink and stuff in it. Where it's actually that figure will be worth a lot. The same as like there's one Ahsoka figure that's worth like $300. The rest of them are all like between $10 and $45. But that one, it's because that's
she can get it.
It's from Rebels, I think, or something. It's the one set she was in Rebels, and so it's when she's like a grown adult Ahsoka, and so that one's worth a lot. But I don't know, not to geek out too much, y'all.
No. I mean, I kind of that was one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about was the Lego sets because it just dropped today. It was May 1st. It was like, hey, and for me, it's one of those things that I'm kind of pre-planning for Christmas already. Like I like to kind of do. It's like, okay, I know my son still wants this set, and I might as well pick it up now, right? Get the points, get the bonus stuff, set it aside, and then come Christmas, it's like it's just squirreled away. So, and to Nick's point about the point system, if you're not buying through Lego.com, the great thing about those points, once you get so many, you can use them on sets, or like if there's an expensive set that you want, and then all of a sudden, when you want to buy a modular or a $300 set, you can kind of at least take a bite out of that big chunk, or
and that's what I started to say when I brought up the points was because I told you that like a few years back, probably like 5 years ago. I had so many points. I'm not even a Harry Potter guy, but like I love the modulars so much. If I see a building that I know will fit along, I'll buy it. And so that was when Diagon and Alley had just come out. And so I just cashed in my points and got that baby for free. So I was like, yep, totally worth it. And then that actually is like the 4 half buildings for Diagon and Alley. It's actually a really cool set. And then I'm going to get the bank.
That has that looks pretty cool.
Whatever it's called. But yeah, the bank, because it has a dragon on top.
It has the dragon on top. And anything with the dragon, you better believe there's dragon fans out there that are gonna want that at some point. So
I'm also really glad that they're starting to put out Lord of the Rings sets again.
Yes. I've seriously considered the Rivendell set. I'm
definitely going to buy the Rivendell set. And then I think August or October. They're putting out the Mordor Tower with the eye.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Shoot,
And
really?
it's going to be huge, and that one I definitely
$349.
Right.
Is it?
Right.
Yeah,
Could be.
yeah.
Prick bastards.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely seen. I'm sure you guys have too. Like, there's so many just really creative people out there that make their own custom.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen some of those, like Battle of Helm's Deep. You know, they're just huge. And I'm like, damn,
Minas Tirith. It's crazy.
Minas Tirith, yeah. And you're like, you kind of want it. Like, I mean, you'd love to build that yourself, but like the amount of money they spent to
Fuck that.
It's incredible.
Yeah, because
I mean,
even my little Battle of Hoth that I have, like
Yeah.
it's only like a little, probably 3 feet, not even 3 feet, like 2.5 feet by 2 feet. And that's over $1,000 just ordering all the
Jesus
bricks.
Christ.
You know,
And if you just for building sakes, for anybody listening at this point and hasn't skipped forward, you can use Duplo and then cover Duplo, so you can actually, like, if you have Duplo blocks, as opposed to like giving those away, if you're a Lego collector, because Lego will fit on top of Duplo blocks, and then you're basically just saying, hey, I'm going to use this as a
base.
As a base, yeah, or as a way
Smart.
of making a big area, cover a large area without having to spend a lot on brick mass. So my son just had a birthday recently. Chris and I kind of mentioned that last week. Our sons have birthdays just days apart. He got the Concorde.
Oh,
the big Lego.
sick.
Will Fry sent me a picture of that. I think it's fucking huge.
He just put it together, and it's gigantic, and he has a spot that he was planning on putting it on his room on a shelf, and it looks amazing. I don't have it down here in the basement with me because it's
the
it's on
Betamax of airplanes.
It is pretty cool, like all of the facts about it, like because those booklets that you get for these big sets, they've got tons of facts, like kind of like throughout, but it was a US, or not US, but it was a UK France venture to make the Concorde, and Concorde is like one word that means the same in both languages. So he's like rattling off all of these random facts to me.
He's learning shit.
Yeah.
But you weren't even alive. What do you know?
I mean, I told you guys like last week that he's really into aviation and thinking about becoming a pilot and stuff. So
I remember in Man in the High Castle. I remember thinking that was cool. Just in the opening credits, you saw that's what they flew, was the Concorde. Yep. I was like, oh, that's cool that they're kind of throwing in that old technology.
Well, it has the cockpit that moves down.
Right down.
Yeah,
like a bird.
Yeah.
So it was because the needle of the nose, they couldn't see the runway, so that's why it had to tilt down.
Is that really why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking funny.
When it moves down, they can see better, and so as they take off, it's point down, and then as they're landing, it's point down. So, but a really cool set, and it displays in a really cool manner. So anyway, just some other random Lego stuff.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of sets. I mean, the thing is that they're getting too damn expensive.
Yes, I would agree with you there. Like the price of some of them have just gone. It's like they're like, hey, we created cocaine and we're just going to now raise the price.
Right. Well, I remember Jay being friends with a guy at like the Raleigh Lego store, and Jay told me that years ago, saying, yeah, it's like a 50% or more markup on all the Legos. And so that's
crazy.
That's why it's great to be friends with the guy at the Lego store, because he'll just buy them for you, with his discount at cost. Yeah, and give them to you. And then now, how everything has shot up in the last 3 to 4 years, when like a little whatever they call it, little microfighters, like one like
right.
But those were like $5.99 5 years ago, and now they're like $10.99. You're like, get the fuck out of here. It's the same thing as like Chris was saying with the MIDI scale. Actually, that one's probably pretty accurately priced, because if you look at the count, the amount of pieces in that set, it's actually
the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, I have the original MIDI scale Falcon that came out like 2011 or 10 or something like that. But it was nowhere near that expensive. I want to say it was like $40.
And that's a really great point that you make, and that's one of the ways that I always identify, like if a set is like way overpriced for like the minifigs, is just looking at that Lego piece count per price, and thinking, okay, like I'm getting so much more for. There's an Instagram one that I follow. God, I can't remember the name of it now, but they're great on they have a kind of a 25 scale grading system, and they break that down into 5 different categories of 5s, so they kind of rate it like 1 out of 5, like
Like
the
a
price.
value.
Yeah, like the value, the minifigs, the actual like building techniques, like is it have unique building techniques. And I like their scale of the way they rank them, because it gives you a really good snapshot. And they'll also tell you like, oh, this set comes with, these are the unique parts. These are the, this is the number of count of parts. And so like, it's a pretty good, I'll look that up.
I tell you, another place where Lego completely has shot themselves, which I was shocked that they did this, is that, I have the original Captain Rex minifig from like 10 years ago. Or 11 years ago, and that thing I think he's worth like $250 right now, or at least he was. But then they released the ventilator class 6 months ago, and he's in there like the new Captain Rex figure.
Oh right, yeah.
But that set is like $600, and so people were buying that set just to get Captain Rex. But now they're coming out with a Captain Rex Y-wing microfighter, and it's the exact same minifigure from the ventilator class. So it's like all those people that bought that $600 Lego, it's like, oh hell, I can just buy 10 of them now for nothing.
It's called Tips and Bricks. Sorry, I know I got you guys excited.
Spell that correctly. You're going to the wrong site.
TIPS.
Tips and dicks.
Yeah.
Bricks. Yeah, so not tits and dicks, but Tips and Bricks. They have a really good good page, good Instagram, and they do. I really do like their rating system, because I know that, and they rate all sorts of stuff, everything from Friends sets to Star Wars or whatever's coming out.
Cool.
So, anyway,
it was funny. Like I remember when the Friends set started to come out, I kind of was against it. Because
cue the Friends theme song.
Not the Friends as in like the show Friends, but because Lego always made the point of saying like, we're a generic, anybody can play with Lego. Right. We're not making it for any particular sex, we're not making it for any particular race. Lego's just Lego. And I kind of felt they kind of were being hypocritical when they came out with the Friends sets, because those are very tiered towards girls. But after reading like a year ago about how successful the Friends sets have been, I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I was wrong, in that thinking. But
my kids, some of their first Lego sets were the elf sets, because they liked a lot of the mythical creatures, and that had dragons, but that also had like sea turtles, and
you guys remember my advertisement I did for
your advertisement.
Yeah,
I was in the advertisement for Legos.
Yeah,
how could we forget?
Yeah, but that was just that was like the tagline. It was like Lego was the toys you grew up with. It wasn't for any specific like whatever. It just had different levels of Legos,
right?
But the Friends sets, to your point, I think they initially got marketed as for girls, but not so much, man.
Well, I mean, there still are for girls.
Yeah, but like they're not. I mean, I don't know.
They're starting to blend in a way. Like I've been seeing some of the sets that are more complete and almost in line with the city theme.
Yes,
because there is a botanical garden, and there's like a downtown. Different sets. That
my daughter has both of those.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people be really creative with those sets and like blend them in with the
my son is such a purist, though. Like we have our own little town.
He's like, watched the pieces, so they're not even coming in the same contact.
And then of course my daughter's like, no, we gotta have like the Lego furniture building that it'll go with it. And he's just like, no, it's just look, the sidewalks. Yeah, he's like, the sidewalks don't match. match. Like, yeah, it's
I mean,
just very much
I
like
get it, man.
That's a valid point though with the sidewalks, because like I am that way, because like when the old city base plates, the road plates, that was what I had for the longest time,
Right.
and now they have the new road base plates, but they're
which
thicker.
is just a
So-
little bit higher, and
so
there's no way
now-
to make up that height.
Right. So you
Mhm.
basically what you have to do now is you get these they're little 8x8 squares, or you can build a Mills design, which is what they
Right.
call them. And so then you raise your buildings up, and then you raise the roads up, and it makes it. But still, you're spending a shit ton of money
Yep.
just to have it
Yep.
accurate. And
You know, somebody in a boardroom was like, if we just make this an eighth of an inch smaller, we'll make $1.2 million.
Brilliant. Yes.
So smart.
To your point, Nick, the one of the friend sets that I picked up just to salvage was I think it's called Andrea's Theater, and it has the working mechanism for theater curtains, and it comes with a red cloth.
Cool.
That's
And this was back in December when
Been putting on puppet shows, have you, Matt?
Fuck you. No. Puppet shows. Sounds so perverted the way you say. Have you put on puppet shows?
No.
No, I
Just
was
saying.
I,
Or fake
I was
Lego performances.
I was starting to build the Muppet Theater,
yeah.
and that's why I wanted the curtain was for that.
I thought you were
Not
gonna have
from-
like the Rockettes or something.
No, yeah, they're all friends. Yeah,
The
no,
Legos.
I started working on
out with a theater.
They have not. They have not come out with a theater. They have the only thing they came out with were the actual
Just the
Muppet
figures.
characters.
Yeah.
And I wish that they'd do a phase 2 so that we could get the rest of the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
need that.
I definitely buy the Electric Mayhem.
And go ahead and give us some Kermit and Piggy and some different outfits.
Mhm.
And there's a handful of other like Muppets that you could throw in there. I mean, seriously, like, come on. Like the Muppets are like the redheaded stepchild of the Disney properties. Like
I
they've
forget
collected.
they're part of Disney.
I know,
Yeah,
because they
that's
don't
funny.
do shit with them, and they just kind of let them flounder on their own. Like they're just like, well, we've got this.
Well, I
dead
think they're
puppet in
kind
the
of out
corner."
though. I mean, when was the last time they made a Muppet like property
So
with like what's
I
his
think
name?
I think the best that they've done since is probably the Muppets show that had an office style setting, like a sitcom. If you go back to it it holds up. It's got some really funny jokes. Even one of it's like Kermit, he's in the backyard singing on his banjo, about rainbows, and his neighbor's just like, learn a new song. And Fozzie ends up dating a female, like a human, and there's a really funny like thing with their relationship, and it's quirky. It's probably about 16 episodes or 18 episodes. Definitely bingeable. I recommend it if you like the Muppets but wanted something a little bit more. I like the adult edginess that show took, and it's something that's been lacking since.
I'm sure you guys have seen it on Instagram, because I know you're on Instagram. The Kermit that does like the
chat roulette Kermit.
chat roulette Kermit. Yeah,
So good.
Oh.
Beagle, whatever it is.
it's so funny.
He
Like,
just
I-
pulls up
I-
a cucumber
cucumber. Yeah, every time. It's so. My favorite one is the
or a
very
zucchini or
first
something.
call, and it's like this girl that's just kind of like, "Oh, hey, Kermit," and she's like,
Oh, hey, how are
"Hey,
you?
babe." Hey. And she's like,
How are you,
"Yeah,"
babe?
she's- I'm just glad. I just want to talk to somebody for once. Oh, okay, like he's like actually like he's normal.
Can I show you something? Let me show
Yeah,
you
and then also
something.
just and it's like he's like Kermit. No, Yeah,
So
it's
good.
Anyway,
Well, hey, so I finally finished For All Mankind.
Oh,
okay.
you know what we should do? And before that, though,
Let's talk about commercials.
let's do it.
All right, commercials.
So you finished it, and
I did. I finished For All Mankind.
I'm still behind you, but go ahead and talk about
I
it.
think the
care.
season sucked.
Yeah,
Okay. It's been hard for me to get into it.
I fell
It's been
asleep almost
really-
during almost every episode.
right.
And I had to
And not
go
like
back
in
and rewatch.
Not
That's-
like in a Jack falling asleep to Shogun kind of way, but in a legit
Yeah.
That's why I told you. I was like, if you're expecting season 3 and season 4, you're not going to get it.
No.
I mean, they tried right there at the end to kind of give it some drama, but
Yeah, the last episode and a half, 2 episodes are probably the most like stressful, if you will, episodes of the entire season. And it really wasn't that great. I was not really super impressed with it. And I think they just got to let it go now at this point. Don't you think? Is it over?
I think it's going to be one of those things where they needed a transition, and I think this is a transition.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to give because he said at Comic-Con, the last one I went to was like 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago. That he planned on doing, I think, like 7 seasons or 8.
Oh,
seasons.
really?
And so I think it's we're at that point where the original cast
gotta go.
Has got to go. And so you've got to somehow get people invested in these new characters. And I think that's what this season was.
Yeah.
It's like, it was kind of like, okay, we've got 2, 3 original cast members still on the show.
Aleda, she's gonna be like the lead,
right? Yeah, and then everyone else is gonna start to fade away.
Sure.
Because it's like the woman who became president wasn't even in this season. You're like, well,
not at all.
Yeah,
she's gone.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, they referenced her, like
they referenced, yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, Daniel Stern. I don't think that's a good casting, to be honest with you. Like, I was just like, I just got annoyed with him every time he was on the screen. I was like, this kind of sucks. It's like I feel like I'm watching City Slickers.
But what blows my mind is like how good that damn makeup department is. Because
oh my god, yeah.
Margot
looks
she's younger than we are, and she looks like, I mean, it's like, oh my god, like how do they make her look like a 70-year-old woman when she's like 38 or 37, and you're like, damn.
There's even a couple of like I noticed this. It like struck me because when it happened, there's a couple like super close-ups, like inches from her face, like type of like camera angle. You're like, man, she looks old as fuck, and that looks completely real. But yeah, like, and what's his name? Ed.
Yeah. Same. I think Ed's 39.
Ed's younger than us, right?
Yeah.
So he's on what was he famous for? Carbon, whatever the fuck it was.
Altered Carbon.
Altered Carbon. Not great. But yeah, like he looks old as shit in this movie. Like, but Daniel Stern actually is old.
No makeup required. Yeah.
So he doesn't spend too much time in the makeup trailer. But yeah, man, like I don't know. I remember. I think you're right. I think it's if the shows keeps going on, this is going to be like a transitional season into like the new class, if you will. But
so now I'm like, okay, do I even binge the rest?
Yeah,
of
you
it
may as well.
No, you have to.
It's only 10 episodes, dude. It's not that. It's not a bad show.
I think I just was like at episode 4, and I had, me, it's like I got to get some work done, and I got to have a show on. Well, all of the good TV right now has some form of like translation. It's like, I want to watch Franklin. Well, speaking in fucking French.
That's what I started to watch.
It's like
today.
all man. Okay, they're speaking in fucking Russian. Okay, Shogun. Okay, they're speaking in fucking Japanese. It's like, great. This is great. All of this culture is awesome. But I need some, which was great with Fallout, because I could work to Fallout.
Yeah, there you go. Fallout was just an excellent show. So, I think Fallout is if we're talking about like the season of shows, like if this probably the MVP of this season of shows, actually, this kind of like run.
Shogun is number 1.
You think Shogun's number 1? Okay,
yeah,
I haven't seen Shogun yet.
Yeah, Shogun's number 1, followed by Fallout, followed by Three Body Problem, probably.
Fallout has definitely more humor and a lighthearted, like kind of just like romp, whereas and I do enjoy how, I mean, Fallout kind of surprised me, honestly, but Shogun just won me over heart and soul. I love the story, and I really recommend too, like, listening to the podcast. I know Matt Treese has also chimed in about that in the chat, but the podcast, which you can also listen on Hulu, has some really great facts and information, and one of the writers hosts it, and it's a very informative if you enjoy the show. So Yeah, I've been kind of in one of those binge places where like you're like looking for something, but then you're like, I'm not in the mood for this. My brother, he recommended this show on Prime called Vox Machina.
Okay.
Yeah, have you heard of that?
Never heard of it. No.
It's kind of like it is an animated um kind of role playing, but it's not role playing. I mean, although it's created by role playing games, or it's based off of a role playing game. Um, but they're the characters, so they're characters in that D&D kind of realm, right? Animated and adult. So and the cussing, violence, and then some nudity every now and then. So definitely not one that you watch with the kids.
You got to throw in a boob or a tit every now and then.
Right. No, for sure. I mean, you see that pretty much in the first episode out of the gate. The characters, it took me a little bit to kind of like decipher them, and so it was a little bit more of a slow burn for me as I got into it, but very humorous writing. In one part, I'll just give one of the humorous moments that kind of stuck out is there's a character that's basically like, thinking that he has to amputate his arm. And the big burly dude is like, do you want me to whack it off? And he says, well, you might have to if I lose this hand. And it's just that level of
that kind of whack it off. Okay.
Yeah. And so it's like that level of humor.
I appreciate that level of humor.
So if you're looking for an animated kind of, in that fantasy kind of realm, it's got adult humor. It's been enjoyable. I'm on to season 2. There's only 2 seasons, I think 9 episodes each. Maybe there's more. I can't remember. Sorry.
Another show, I'm just looking at my list here. I'm sure you guys have heard of it on HBO, The Sympathizer.
Oh,
is good.
Works with the Empathizer.
Yeah. No, like it's Robert Downey Jr.'s in it, and then some unknowns. As far as I'm concerned, they're unknowns. But
they blew the budget on Robert Downey.
But it's going to be another thing, like Matt. It does have subtitles at times, so you can't ignore it. But it's at the end of the Vietnam War, and it starts off with these group of 3 friends who 2 of them are they're all in Saigon, and 2 of them are a Viet Cong, but they're undercover, and then the other guy is an actual soldier, like with the the army, the South Vietnamese army. And then you have someone like Robert Downey Jr., who is a CIA agent, and he plays another character as well. I'm interested in how many characters he's going to play in this series. But the main character, he's in charge of kind of spying on this general for the South Vietnamese army, and because they know that the North's going to win any day now, and he's hoping like he can finally like reveal himself as like, I'm the guy that fucked you over, and all this, and then he gets I don't want to spoil too much, but basically a lot of shit happens, and it's so far I'm very intrigued with the show. It's pretty good.
The Sympathizer.
The Sympathizer, yeah.
1 season so far.
So far, yeah, just 2 episodes. I think it's only 1 season, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, just 2. I think the 3rd will be out Friday maybe or Saturday. I'm not sure, but I liked it. And then Chris said talking about Franklin. Franklin was one of those shows that I said that to Jack, that I really went into it with low expectations, because like, how can you make a show about Benjamin Franklin, just in France, just in this one little narrow part of his life? And surprisingly, it's good. I was like, wow, like it actually is keeping me entertained and wanting to watch it.
I'm like halfway through the first episode of the pilot episode of it now, and it's got this odd attraction to it.
It does.
I can't put a finger on it, right?
I love the relationship between him and his grandson,
Temple.
Yeah. I think that kind of dynamic is unique in a show.
Yeah.
And it also
didn't he
allows...
adopt him in real life? Isn't that like a thing? I mean, the show is pretty. I think it's pretty historically accurate. The show
I'm not sure if he adopted him or not, but that is his real grandson, and he was kind of like Benjamin Franklin's like biographer. Like that's really what he was more famous for. And after Benjamin Franklin passed on, that's really what Temple was more famous for, was writing about the history of the time. You know?
Well, he definitely is the character that kind of you're following into. It's just like Franklin's so large that you need him as this entry character. I think it's, I realize it's based on history, but as far as a story is concerned, or compelling, it's something that drew me in, and I was, as Nick put it, kind of surprised by it, because
it's kind of cool to watch. I mean, I've only seen a little bit, maybe almost a full episode, but it's really cool to watch. Ben Franklin like coaching him on how to be a negotiator, and he was like, "This is one of the lies you hold on to." It's like, that's actually really funny. Like, you're right. The back and forth between the two, of him being like a protege almost of Ben Franklin, which is kind of cool. Meanwhile, he's just trying to get laid by some French women.
Right.
He's a typical 19-year-old.
Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic story, and like, I think, I don't know, no one's ever tried to recreate Ben Franklin's life. You know what I mean? Like, on screen, other than maybe
he's like another side character.
He's always he's this side character to your John Adams or all those other period pieces for that, the 1770s, wherever it is. But yeah, so I mean, I'm about finished with the first episode, and I think I'm in it. I didn't see how many episodes are on there, but I don't think it's gonna be a super long season, is it?
No, I think there's only 5 out right now.
Oh, is that? Oh, so it's still in the middle of releasing.
They're just doing 1 episode per week.
Okay, good. So
it is
I won't
good.
get too far behind.
Like I said, I look forward, because it comes out, I think, every Friday.
Okay,
so it's one of those that every Friday I'm like, oh yeah, today's Franklin Day.
And remind me, what network is the other one on? Shogun.
Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Okay, that's why I don't.
Or Disney. Or Disney Plus. Either one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, and Shogun is very spacious in a certain way, and it has some dark kind of scenes where it's just like, ooh, it's rainy and it's dark, and I have to read, and so I think that it is something, if you're tired,
tough to watch during
and so Chris, like I said this a few weeks back with Shogun, like Shogun is a book, and so to me, the first 3 episodes, I wouldn't say that they're a chore to watch. They're not.
But it's work,
it's work. It's like the first 3 to me are a fish out of water story. It's like you have this European guy in a foreign land, and so you're kind of, you're watching it as you would a book, as in like you're introduced into this world, and then the more you progress, the better it gets.
Cool.
So it's you're gonna like it. It's a good series.
It definitely builds on itself, and I just think there's a consistency in it, and it delivers. So it makes me want to listen to the audiobook, honestly.
Cool.
It's a thick-ass book.
I was thinking about this, and I wonder how typical this is, or if it's just us because what we do and listen to and watch and do our shows and shit. But like, I feel like I always have something in the queue of what I'm going to watch. Like, I can't think of a time in a long fucking time where I wasn't like involved in a relationship with a TV
show. Huh. Yeah, it's true.
And just like lived without it.
But then there's some that I've definitely had in my queue for a long time.
Sure.
And I just like, it's like, okay, like for example, like season 2, second half of Invincible has been a chore for me. And it's just because I haven't
even watched it yet.
Right. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just one of those things where like I'm just like, I'm not in the mood to watch Invincible.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I'll get to it. I
haven't watched the new season of Ragnarok, and mostly because the graphic is just a fucking big, huge white penis sticking out of the ocean, and I'm just like, no, I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, so you know what? I'm just not gonna watch it, like, because I really fucking enjoyed that show. I started to not enjoy that show towards the end, and I have a feeling this is just taking a fucking the wrong turn.
It's not bad. Like I think I can't remember because it's been so long since the last season came out. It's good.
It's not been that long. I mean, it was.
I know, but it's past fall sometime. But
yeah.
You know, in TV terms, it's how much stuff has come out since then that you're like, oh my god, that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
And Ragnarok was the first. I think I want to say like the first half of the last season was good, and then it just kind of ended, kind of like okay.
So like I felt like season 2, I think
there's only 3.
Yeah. So at season 2 just started to feel a little too much like Twilight for me.
Right. I mean,
You know
it always skirted that fine line between, is this kid teenage drama bullshit? Like, that's what it is. It's kid teenage drama bullshit combined with Norse mythology.
Yeah, it went a little too far off center for me, right? So like when they're literally like having these house parties with this ancient family that is like, I'm like, this is fucking Twilight.
Right.
This all this is. It's Twilight, but substitute vampires for fucking Vikings. Like that's all it was. And I was just like, I'm so done with this like cliche. Like, I'm gonna fucking stab you with my sword bullshit. And like that's it. And then the season ends with the fucking dude turning himself into a big huge dick. Like like this, or the snake head, if you will.
Yeah.
But like it looked awful. It looked like a big ass fucking penis, and that's like the placard for the new season is just the big dick hanging out the water. I'm like, okay, all right, Twilight of the Dicks. Now there's your episode title.
And then I know I mentioned this last week as well.
He actually just walked away. Mic drop.
Twilight of the Dicks. There you go. I'm done. Yeah.
Twilight of the Dicks.
I had mentioned this, and Matt, I know, listened and is considering it, but on Showtime or Paramount Plus, A Gentleman in Moscow with Ewan McGregor is so good.
I remember you mentioning that, and I was just like, oh, there's probably going to be fucking Russian.
No, actually, that's why I kind of popped back in my brain, is because this is the one show that you don't have to.
Okay.
It is all in English.
I do watch TV. It's just I tend to try to get shit done. I'm a multitasker. So and I have a lot of computer like files to go through. I've been reorganizing, like kind of going, like as you do, but I have like 4,000 photos in a file that I recently took. Like this was back at the beginning of the year, like January, February. I was working on documenting all my work, as much work as possible, not only my work but artwork that I've collected from other people, and I've got a shit ton. So I had like 4,000 files, and there's that moment where you think, oh fuck, where is it? Did I delete this? Did I overwrite this? Where are all of these files? Because I'm only seeing 150, and I know there's more than 150. Sorry if anyone's ever done that before. I'm sure you've had that freak out panic moment of like, where the fuck are these files? This one had a happy ending though. I did find them, and so, but anyway, I have to go through all of those files and kind of edit like all of this imagery. So finding the perfect show that I can work to sometimes can be it's almost like, okay, I have my sideshow, and then I have like the sit down on the couch and enjoy this show, and so I tend to save those for ones where I have reading involved.
What I like about The Gentleman from Moscow is
the gentleman.
No, it's Ewan McGregor's character comes from he's an aristocrat before the Soviet Revolution, and in the beginning of the very first episode, he's in this hotel because during World War I, his house got burned down, I guess during the revolution or something. And he's brought before a court and basically is sentenced to life imprisonment in the hotel that he's staying at. And he can never leave the grounds, ever. He has to stay in the hotel. And what's great about it, though, is every episode skips forward, like anywhere from 4 to 6 or 8 years. And you're seeing everything kind of through his eyes, because he is growing up as a gentleman, like understanding culture, understanding wines, understanding etiquette and how to eat, understanding how to address people. And you're seeing, like in the first few episodes, this hopeful dream of communism, of like, no, we're all equal now. You can't talk to me that way, and all these things like that. And they're really humbling him in a way. But then as you get more into the Great Depression and you get into World War II, you start to see that dream kind of change, because now these people are really suffering, and he is always held on to his principles. And it's even though he's humbled and he's grown up and he's seen things, it's just an interesting take. And so far, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely check that out, because if I can watch it on my Paramount, I'll check it out there. So
the other thing I was going to recommend to you, it's only 2 parts, and I'm not sure, it came out like a year or 2 ago, maybe a year ago. It popped up, and I was like, oh, I definitely want to watch this. It's Paul Simon's get it written down. In Restless Dreams, and it's a documentary about the history of Paul Simon, and each is like an hour or an hour and a half a piece. And so the first one, it goes back and forth into his current album that he just released. And then, but it starts from the beginning in the first half all the way up till Simon and Garfunkel's breakup. And then the second half is basically 1970 all the way through 1990. And it just kind of goes through his music and his life. And it kind of bothered me that they ended right at Rhythm of the Saints. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, there's still like another 30 years, like,
right. Right.
But,
and he did Rhythm of the Saints, and that was it.
But I didn't know that. Like, I saw him in his last tour in 2018, and he basically went deaf in his left ear, and he's now starting to have. He's just getting old, and, and he kind of addresses these things in the documentary. You're like, damn,
Do they talk about the Carrie Fisher as well?
Briefly.
Oh, okay.
They talk about, it's more set up in. How One Trick Pony, Hearts and Bones, and Carrie Fisher was like a low point in his career, and that, like, he had 2 flops, and then he married Carrie Fisher, then 6 months later they get a divorce, and it's like, what the hell, and then it's interesting also to hear about,
like fucking crazy ass 6 months.
Yeah, well, I mean, Carrie Fisher,
she said that they were in a long. I mean, they may have been married for 6 months, but they were basically in a relationship for
a long time.
Long time. So.
But that she talks about, because they use a lot of historical footage in it, of course. And Gary says that at one point. She goes, I think that I'm a great girlfriend and I'm a horrible wife. And it's one of those things where you can tell that, like, it was neither one of their fault. It was just, they're just 2 totally different kinds of people. And that she likes the limelight. She could handle stardom. She could handle people running up to her. Paul Simon is more introspective and does not like that. Even though he's extremely famous, he does not. He wants his privacy. He wants to, just kind of be an enigma, because that's really what a songwriter is. You're trying to tell a story, and if you can't come up with a story, then it's hard.
Right.
But yeah, I enjoyed it, especially the first part, because just the Simon & Garfunkel stuff. And that was also, I always wanted to hear more about Hearts and Bones anyway, which is everyone out there. It's the 1983 album.
I like the song Hearts and Bones.
Yeah, it's good. But like, it talks about like how, because you really do get a nice kind of 2-sided why Simon & Garfunkel broke up in 1970 and why they broke up again in 83. In that,
Garfunkel tried to stab him.
Well, no, the Hearts and Bones one was interesting, because it was like, it's kind of like a replay of the 70 breakup, and that he said that, like, Paul was like, one, I was at a low, and they asked me to do the Central Park concert in 81, and I thought, well, I'd like to see if Artie would like to do a few songs with me, but then it just kind of snowballed into like, well, fuck it, let's just make it all a Simon and Garfunkel concert. And then after that, it kind of got pressured into making another Simon and Garfunkel record. And it goes, but in the old days, it used to be, I would write the songs, we would go into the studio, and Art and I would kind of go back and forth about like, how do we want to do this harmony? And we'd work it out. We'd work the arrangement out. He goes, and all of a sudden I write these songs, and Artie goes, give me the songs. I'm going to go hiking in Switzerland for like 2-3 months, and I'm just going to write the harmonies. And then I'll send you the tapes of me doing the harmonies, and that's what the album will be. And Artie was like, what the fuck? You know, like, and he goes, so it was one of those things where like I got him back, and then Art's like, yeah, and all of a sudden I get a call going, yeah, I wiped all your harmonies off of them. It's just gonna be a Paul Simon record. Fuck you. Oh, by the way, I'm getting married. Do you want to come? You know, and it's like, what the fuck? Yeah, but like I said, it's an interesting 2-part documentary.
You know
for
what?
anyone who likes Paul Simon.
This brings up, I was just driving around today and I was playing my, I don't know if you guys have, do you guys have Apple Music?
Yeah.
Okay. You you ever like listen to your station, right?
Yes.
Like,
I love listening to my station.
I mean, I
selfishly, I do.
Same, right?
Yeah.
I think it's flawless. But
loved it. Perfection.
Mother and Child Reunion came on today.
Oh, yeah.
And I hadn't heard that song. I haven't listened to that song for fucking ever. And holy shit, man. Like, it hit me right in the goddamn feels when I was driving. I was driving by myself. And I got a little emotional, right? I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, I don't think I ever listened to that song, you know, through the lens of A, being a parent, or B, losing my dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I heard it for the first time with those ears on, and I was like, Jesus fuck, man. This song is something else. Like, and there's something about Paul Simon music.
Yeah.
Like, that just pulls on you, man. Like, you know, I can't explain it. Like, I often get most emotional listening to Paul Simon or Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it's incredible.
He's a sad kind of guy.
Yeah,
and a lot of his songs are kind of sad. But I mean, they actually talk about that specific song off of that record. I love Paul Simon's first record. I think his second one's a little bit better, but I love the Paul Simon record.
Chris, I texted you a song. I could have texted it to the group, but then Jack would have been like, "Why this fucking song?" But
I can't pull it up because it's right up here.
That's okay. You can listen to it later. But Father and Daughter, that one also right in that same vein of like just heart, you know, in your chest, kind of like. But I love that song, and if you have heard it or
Billy Joel has that power too.
Yeah, he does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he has that superpower.
Well, they toured together.
Yeah.
There was that tour.
Storytellers, wasn't it?
Yeah, Paul Simon and Billy Joel. They toured, right?
I don't think so. I know Paul and Bob Dylan toured together.
No, I'm pretty sure Paul Simon and Billy Joel. Oh. Yeah, it was. I think it was in the 90s. So, but I could be wrong. I'm gonna look it up.
With Mother and Child Reunion, Chris, in that documentary, because he hadn't really done a lot of world music to that point. He did the one off of Bridge Over Troubled Water, the Peruvian song. You know, I'd rather be a sparrow than, you know, that's that one.
Right.
But like other than that, he hadn't done much. But he always had loved ska music. And kind of a rare. You know,
some reggae feel to it.
Yeah, and that's what he talks about, because I go down to Jamaica because I'd written this song, Mother Child Reunion, and I get down there and I go, oh, like I want to do this ska, and the studio, everyone, the musicians go, oh, we're not a ska band,
right?
We're reggae, and he goes, what's reggae? You know, because reggae was basically brand new in '71 when they recorded that record, and he goes, okay, we'll just do it reggae then, you know, but it didn't end up being exactly what he wanted. So
yeah, that's cool. So it looks like Billy Joel and Paul Simon played together in 2015, but I don't know if it was a tour or not. But
I swear they toured together at some point, because and maybe I'm thinking of Billy Joel with somebody else, but I just remember the double header being Billy Joel, and I swear it was Paul Simon, and I just thought, wow, that would be a great duo to see.
That would be cool. So I got to see Billy Joel this past summer with what's her nuts? Stevie Nicks. Yeah, that was cool.
Interesting enough, that's actually her second name is What's Her Nuts.
Yeah.
What's her next?
I will say Stevie Nicks she's lost a lot of steam, but at the same time, for a woman of her age, she still kicks ass, man. Like it was a pretty cool concert to see. I had the worst seats in the house. Like I was literally back up against the top rail of the third level. But the audio was great. And Stevie Nicks has definitely lost a step. Billy Joel still keeping on. He keeps on keeping on. That man, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him on the River of Dreams tour in '94. I've seen him 3 or 4.
Great
times.
album.
But I remember. I want to say it was the second time I saw him at a concert. Him saying, you don't realize it when you're young. He goes, but when you get older, you kind of regret writing so many songs in so high a keys.
Yeah. And then so there's some footage of him at Madison Square Garden, I think like last week, and he was singing Uptown Girl, and Christy Brinkley was in the crowd.
Oh, nice.
And
I heard about that.
He focused in and sang to her, which I thought was kind of cool.
Because that song was about her too.
Yeah.
By the way, I was just blame it on my memory, but it was Elton John and Billy Joel.
Yeah,
they toured in '94, and that was the tour I was thinking about. And then they also toured in 2010.
94? I thought their first one was at 01.
That's a fucking show. Elton John and Billy Joel.
Yeah, they
sorry, I didn't mean to confuse Elton John with Sir Elton John with our.
They're two really different artists and two very different vibes.
One's a rocket man, and the other's a.
Well,
piano.
no, it's because Elton. I don't know. Like I've seen both of them several times, and they're both put on. They're one of the few artists at their age that give you 150% of your money worth.
Bruce fucking Springsteen.
Exactly, Bruce Springsteen as well. But there's so many guys now, and I get it. They're in their 70s, they're in their 80s, and they do 14 songs. They charge you $200, and you're like, fuck you, But Elton and Billy will play 25, 30 songs. You'll be there 3 hours. You'll be screaming your head off, as in just yelling the songs out. Everyone's out there having a good time. It's always a good show.
Bruce Springsteen's got a bunch of makeup shows that he's got to do because he was sick for part of his tour.
Do you think he'll wear the makeup?
I don't know. Maybe Gene Simmons will come out and do a duet with him. I saw Bruce Springsteen probably back in 2016, maybe around that. I don't know, 2016, 2017. I can't remember when it was. Maybe it was even later than that. But I bought tickets the day before. There were leftover seats up in the third level. I paid $25 a ticket.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's not bad actually.
No, they didn't sell out the place, so they had to they were trying to and it ended up being a sellout because they just threw all these tickets up in the third level out for $25, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm going." Yeah, I live 15 minutes away, so I'd be stupid not to.
Imagine if they did that all the time,
right?
It's getting,
and I remember going there, dude, and it was an incredible concert. I've never seen someone with such energy just start playing music and did not stop until literally 4.5 hours later. He put on a 4.5 hour show.
That's nuts.
And the next day it was in the papers that Robert Kraft had to pay fines to the city of Foxborough because they went past curfew. He had paid some exorbitant amount of money, and he was just like, fuck it, it's the boss, he's playing until when he wants to stop. I think it ended up getting out at 12:30. It was amazing. Wow. It was an absolutely incredible concert. I mean, talk about value for the dollar. It was unbelievable.
You got your Lego bricks that day.
Did you ever see that movie? It came out a couple years ago about he's a British kid. He's an Indian, but he's a British citizen. Getting picked on in the 80s. He's a high schooler in the 80s. And it's a true story. And he just felt awkward. And he felt not part of British society. And the only thing he clicked with was Bruce Springsteen's music. And in the trailer, and it's actually a good scene too, is that his very first trip to America, that's what he does. He goes to fucking Jersey, and like
Asbury Park.
Yeah, and he goes, and when he's at the customs, like he's sitting there, and the guy looks at him, he goes, "Reason for coming to America," and he goes, "I'm here to see where Bruce Springsteen lives." And the guy looks at him, he's like, "Son, can't think of a better reason to come to America to see the home of the boss," and then just like stamps it,
That's awesome.
It's a cute movie, There's a couple at that time, with like Yesterday about the Beatles, and then there's one else about that one. But
man, that was one. I mean, talk about like the value concerts. Like that was an incredible value. Every Dead and Company show I've seen has been an incredible like set, like just insane. My Morning Jacket puts on a stupid ass good show, like. And then I've also seen shows that just have no thought process whatsoever put into like what the set list looks like. It's just cookie cutter bullshit.
Right.
And like there's just something about like when a band really puts some serious thought from soup to nuts of what the performance is gonna be like. I think of bands like Dave Matthews, man. Like those concerts are like a fucking journey. You know what I mean? Like Fish, I never saw them live, but they just finished up a whole tour, or they're still in the middle of the tour. I have no idea. At the Sphere in Vegas, like they put on an incredible show that sold out that place for like I don't know how many days they were there. But yeah, man, like there's just like, and like my daughter got to go see Taylor Swift last year, or the year before, whatever it was, for the Eras tour, and she saw like a 24 song concert. like I'm a kid, you're never going to get that. Like you're going to go to some really terrible concerts. You're not going to get that same level of performance.
Yeah, she's young enough to give you that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, the older you get, the fewer songs you're going to get, because
with the exception of Bruce Springsteen, because he goes on for fucking ever.
Well, I think it also depends on what kind of singer you are. Bruce can just kind of go.
He can grunt his way through.
Yeah, exactly. You can do as many as you want. But if you're an actual harmony singer, then you're not gonna.
Like I'm amazed of how good Dave Matthews still sounds. Like you know what I mean? Like it's, and some people argue that fact that he even sounds good to begin with. Fuck off! Like the guy can perform. Like he's an incredible guitarist too. Like, it's just it's awesome to see.
One of my favorite things is when I get bootlegs of live shows. I really don't care about the songs. I actually want to hear what the artist says in between the songs. And it's always little comments that I like. Two of my favorite ones are actually on official releases of live records. And one of them actually is a Paul Simon record. And it's I think it's the very last track. And he had just kind of been playing the songs, and he hadn't said anything throughout the show. And someone yells out from the crowd, "Say a few words." And he goes, "Oh, okay, say a few words. Well, let's just hope we continue to live." And then just ends it right there. And so like it takes the audience like a half a second to catch up that he just said, "Let's just hope we continue to live." But he left it so open-ended to where it's like, oh, okay. And it's just funny. And
that's just a few words.
Yeah, it's just a few words. And then there's a Neil Young one where people were just yelling out songs for him to play. And he finally just stops and he goes, I would hope that you guys would have enough faith in me to where I would include a few of your favorites in here. And then my favorite one, though, is Joni Mitchell from her Miles of Isles record from 1974. And that someone is yelling out requests, and she goes, what's funny about being a musician is that we're the only artists, and I consider us artists, where people can just demand what they want from you as an artist. She goes, I can't imagine Van Gogh just sitting around and someone going up to him and go, "Do a Starry Night, dude."
Yeah. You're right about the live like the live albums. Now I'll name off a few albums that were like staples in my college and post college years. I don't know if you ever heard the band called Dispatch, but Dispatch is a fairly regional band to Boston, but they got pretty big during the Napster years. They had a 2 CD set that was called Gut the Van, and it was like, you know, live performances, and you can hear that banter going back and forth. That CD set and the OAR Then and Now 2 CD live set lived in my 5-disc CD changer in my car, and they did not come out. You know what I mean? Like that was my soundtrack to everything that I did. And it's funny because you hear those quips, you hear those comments, you hear the things that they say in between songs, sometimes the smack dab in the middle of a song too, that if I'm ever listening to that song in a different medium, you know, like their, you know, studio cut or whatever, I'm like, that's not the right words, or that's not the right cadence. Like you forgot that part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in my 20s and early 30s, it was the Zach Brown 2 CD set live, which is fucking amazing. I forgot what it's called, but it's the brown one. You know, it's an incredible.
It's called the brown one.
Yeah.
Is it?
No, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. It's like the brown jug or something. I don't know what the hell it's called.
Drink the brown juice.
Sure, but those versions of that song are the only versions of the song I want to hear. Like, I don't want to hear the studio cuts.
I'm the same way with like certain Beatle bootlegs. It's like I know the different track, or like it's like the Penny Lane with the trumpet at the end. I can never unhear the trumpet, and so every Penny Lane ever since then is like, no, that's the Penny Lane without the fucking trumpet.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
So
I'm that way with Hello Goodbye. You know, the original version of Hello Goodbye, George echoed with a guitar. So it was like, you say yes, I say no, you know, and then Paul's like, I don't want it. I don't want all the guitars in there. And so, but when I hear it, I automatically go, you know?
There's a speaking of live banter, there's a Dylan one, and Nick probably, Chris, you might know it too, but he plays I think it's the Albert Halsey one. Is that
66? Yeah.
Albert Hall, right? The 66.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he goes electric.
Yeah.
And there's somebody in the audience says, Judas,
yeah.
And there's this really great moment.
Yeah.
You're a liar. And then he turns back. So Dylan responds like, you know, I don't believe you. You're a liar, you know, and he just is like talking back to this person. And you hear him just kind of like turn back. It's like you can hear it in just the audio that he's speaking to the band at this point. He's not talking in the mic because he says, play it fucking loud. And then they just go into like a Rolling Stone. And it's just so fucking cool.
There's a lot of comment. Yeah. Cause you hear like the,
you hear it in his voice. You hear it in the voice in that. It's like he's just yelling at that guy. He's like all of his hate. It's like, let the hatred flow.
And not to sound all fucking cliche and cheesy, but this is why fucking live performance music is the absolute best, bar none. Like you're never gonna get anything like it if the band is good enough, right? It's like, I mean, you're getting that raw emotion that the band is feeding off of the crowd.
Yeah,
you know, they're gonna play things differently based upon the vibe of the show. You know what I mean? And then when you have like these songwriters that are really like into, most of them are right into like you know how their performances are gonna land. Like seeing when they put that like blood, sweat, and tears into building the perfect set list. You know what I mean? Like there's something about that, right? And then because they're fucking telling an entire story over the span of 2.5 hours, 3 hours through their music. And you know damn well that they're building out those set lists like it's like they're telling a story. And I have friends like who have gone to see, like, I keep bringing Dave Matthews up as an example, but they have so many fucking songs, right? And they play all these concerts, you know, 200 days out of the year, whatever fucking crazy it is, still 40 years or 30 years later. Like they come up with like fucking banger set lists every night that tell a different story with all of their music. You know what I mean? I mean, I've seen John Mayer probably about almost a half a dozen times at this point. And I saw him on his solo tour twice, and he actually gets into it. And he's like talking to the crowd about why he built the set list in the way that he did. And I'm sitting there being like, man, this guy's a fucking genius. You know what I mean? And like just watching him do his thing when people don't give him enough credit. Like the guy's a musical genius. like he's tapped, right? But when you're there and you're part of that, like you're a big fan of it too. It helps, right? But being a part of that experience is why I have such an addiction to seeing concerts live. And this year is not unlike the others. I got plenty of trips booked. This year I'm going out to the Gorge again.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my favorite bands is actually opening up for Dave Matthews at the fucking Gorge randomly.
Wow.
Which is like it's blowing my mind. I'm going to see Metallica this year for the first time, which I'm totally stoked for. And
that's just Unforgiven.
I'm taking my daughter to see Niall Horan this year. So we've already got the calendars already plugged up with all these concert dates, which I love it, man. That's my drug. Live music is my drug.
Oh yeah, same.
But I can only do live music if I'm on drugs.
I mean, that helps too, right? Yeah, for sure.
No, I get what you're saying, and it is really cool when you get to see different musicians or people that you follow, like in different venues or places. So,
or the same venue 14 fucking times.
I think I told y'all probably parts of this story, but like,
okay, Quentin Tarantino.
Right. No. When I'm on drugs, I get really introspective. I kind of just stand still, and just kind of let the flow or the wave consume me, and I just kind of ride that. And nothing will piss me off more than someone who interrupts that. So my oldest friend's wife has been around me long enough to understand that about me. And we, before COVID, My Morning Jacket was playing at Red Rocks, and I was just completely locked in, and I was just, and this other young lady that was with us had never been around me before. And she kept, I guess I was bumming her trip out because I was just this motionless person, just kind of just into the music at that moment, and she almost like grabbed me to like, I guess this is what my friend told me. She was like going to like shake me to be like, like, do you not like the music? And then like, she goes, no. Nick loves everything as long as it's good, and she knew me well enough to not fuck up my vibe. Like,
what year was that, Nick?
2019, I think it had to be. Yeah.
Yeah. That was after I went.
Red
Rocks. It was somewhere in like October or November of 19.
I want to say that I remember. I want to say that I remember you going to see My Morning Jacket. So, because I mean, it's
because that was my second Red Rock show.
All three of us.
Because I played. I think I'm gonna scream. Part 2 was the song I played. Like the next podcast we did after that.
Oh, okay.
I think I've seen them 5 times now. 3 of which were at Red Rocks. That venue is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm going. I think I'll do that. Like I spent so much fucking money. It pissed me off because like how expensive tickets are getting. But yeah, because I'm trying to see. Like it's always been my goal to see all the 60s and 70s artists while they're still touring, while they're still alive. So I'm seeing John Fogerty at Red Rocks. And I'm gonna see.
I would like to see him down on the corner.
That's awesome.
Down on the corner, yeah. Out on the street. Can be better though.
It could be anywhere, but as long as that. He's got a nickel.
Look, just as long as you pay your nickel, at your feet, you'll be fine. But yeah, so I'm seeing John Fogerty, seeing Electric Light Orchestra, I'm seeing Burton Cummings with a Guess Who. Like I'm trying to see all these guys and that's why I saw like Paul Simon. Like even though I love Paul Simon, like I've tried to see that. Yeah, but yeah, but like Rolling Stones are coming to play at Mile High, and I'm not going to see it. I've seen them twice because the ticket prices are so fucking insane.
What is it called? Like the Diamond something? The Diamond Tour?
Cockney Diamonds or something?
Yeah, Hackney Diamond.
Hackney Diamonds, that's
Hackney Diamond? Yeah, Hackney Diamond.
I mean, the Stones put on one hell of a good show.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, I've seen them twice. It's like I'm not paying $400 for a concert. And even though one thing is Widespread Panic is opening for fucking Rolling
I
Stones.
mean,
So
they
it's
could
like,
start me
holy
up.
shit.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
That's a show you have to go to.
Right. The thing is, though, I'd be tripping balls.
Yeah.
And then the
That's what
Stones,
they
I'm
fucking
not
make
sure-
drugs for, Nick.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
like the show of the shows to do that.
Yeah.
Like
Nick's-
widespread, and then fucking the
Stones,
big
yeah.
tongue coming off the goddamn stage. Like there's never been a better duo. What the fuck? You have to go to that.
Right. I think
Where
it's
is it?
probably
Mile
just
High?
Mile
I'll
High.
go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm not sure how good the sound would be though in Mile
Who
High.
cares? That's an experience. Just to see what happens around you.
Chris is already
worth the
booking
price.
tickets.
I'm looking at it right now. dude.
Yeah,
I'm
he's,
like,
yeah,
I
he's
wanna
like,
go.
how much would it be if I just came out and
Jesus, or they're probably playing around here too. Though.
I think I'm not sure if they're opening for the whole tour. I think it's just that one show. But
circling back to topics that we don't get to talk about with Jack.
Right.
My Morning Jacket. What are you guys' favorite albums by them? Like, is there like a one that like sticks out to you? I know they are an experience live.
yeah,
Truly,
I don't
but
think of them. I
album.
don't think of them as an album band. You know?
Nope.
But there are albums though that I can put on and just like listen to and just totally like kind of.
Well,
But-
the only two that are like the Tennessee Fire, and then there's one other one that's like kind of like they're two. They're like, oh yeah, you can listen to the majority of this one and not get tired of it.
It still moves.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah.
It still moves as like I don't know, like beginning to end.
What's it?
Secure, however,
Secure the Middle is a
That
good
one.
album.
when that album came out, it was a good follow up from. I think that was their follow up from Z, which really I think kind of broke them through to another level when that Z album came out. So,
but at the same time too, like this is another fucking band that is 100,000 times more magical live than any studio album.
yeah, no, for sure. I just there are some songs that they play though that it's just like if you've heard them from listening to the album and then you see them in concert, it's like it just takes it to the next level. Like the way they perform some of those, and Jim James, like his voice is
So good.
so good. They have a version just outside of their albums. They have a version of "This Land Is Your Land" that it ends up kind of in my station.
Yeah.
So, and Jim James, he had gone off and did a solo thing where he just covered.
Yeah.
He covered some George Harrison.
Yeah, that was from 2009.
His solo stuff is really fucking out there.
Yeah.
The tribute one is all like 6 tracks of George Harrison. And
Right.
then you have Tribute 2 or whatever it's called. And that one is also a good record as well of just cover songs. Because he doesn't just do a straight cover, which is what I always respect. If someone can take a great song and then completely make it their own, then that's, to me, a signature of a good artist.
Yeah, especially if you're covering something, taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
Where
It's like an artist that I detested from the minute I heard them to this day is I don't know, it'll hit me in a minute. But they did a record based on the Basement Tapes a few years ago, and it was
a travesty.
Well, no, it was just a bunch of like poems that Dylan had, but didn't actually ever record a song. So they gave like a track to Jim James. They gave a track to Mumford & Son. I cannot stand Mumford & Son.
Oh, okay.
And
I will wait.
What?
I will wait for you.
Yeah.
Is that a Mumford & Son song?
But so they gave like all these poems to Mumford. They gave them to Jim James. They gave them to
I like how you say poems.
because that's what they were.
I know. I like how you pronounce it.
Oh, okay. And you see Jim James like in his home, going like reading it, and already kind of you can see the ideas percolating and how he's going to craft a song out of Bob Dylan's lyrics, and you see Mumford freaking the fuck out. And it's just this documentary how they're making this record. And I just never respected much of Mumford & Sons. I felt it's kind of like when you heard the argument of like the Rolling Stones and all the 60s stole black people's music. I never understood the argument by that point until I heard Mumford & Sons. I was like, oh, I get it. You're a British artist who is just bastardizing folk music. And that's just how I felt. And I've definitely gotten arguments about people about Mumford & Sons because there's a lot of people that really like them, but like there's just a band.
I hope you don't dislike Lumineers.
Lumineers has got some pretty kick-ass tracks.
Okay, because I felt like I would have to go to the mat for them. I went back into the Lumineers.
Well, the Lumineers at least can write a hook. You know?
They can, and they had the Brightside album, which was their more recent album that they released. I thought there was some songs on there that really resonated with me. So,
have you ever heard of Lord Huron?
Yeah.
Lord Huron.
Lord okay. Huron. Hey, I'm not sure. Just they're not a very well known band. But
well, I mean,
they have some similar like. It's in a similar family to like your Lumineers style, but less poppy, but more of like a storytelling vibe to it. But yeah,
Lonesome Dreams is a solid album.
I started to say this earlier. You know, all three of us we're fucking geeks. You know, and we're just encyclopedias in a way of
weird shit.
Of weird shit, yeah. And I started to say this when we were talking about TV shows earlier. Like I every now and then I'll get a friend who's known me, more of an acquaintance than a friend, but he knows like, oh, Nick would love this TV show, you know, and they'll recommend to me like 2 or 3 months later, and they're like, Nick, you should watch Three Body Problem. You should watch Shogun. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll check that out. Dude, I saw it.
You're like, I podcasted about that 3 months ago. You fucking douche.
But it's just like saying Lord Huron reminded me of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like like Steven Sanchez is a kid. He's like 20 years old, and he's writing kind of like Roy Orbison style songs, and he's fucking awesome. If you guys haven't listened to him, you should. He really up until now been putting out EPs, and he's got this one. They finally now released his one record. But like there's the one song that's like his famous one is called "Until I Found You." It's very Roy Orbison, and like you're like, I would never fall in love again until I.
Do you know that song?
It's such a good song, but like that record, it's good, but. I mean, like that song is a couple years old now, but like his actual first proper record has finally been dropped.
Yeah.
The album One at a Time. That one. Is that?
I had to look it up.
No. Okay.
Well, now we're getting into
it's called like Angel
feels.
something.
I like this.
Angel something. Okay. Maybe.
So now that we're getting into our music feels here for a hot second, so you know that band that's opening up for Dave Matthews at the Gorge for me is I don't know if you've ever heard of you've heard of the band Wolfpack, have you?
Yeah, I have.
Wolfpack.
Wolfpack. Yeah. If you haven't listened to them, they're amazing. They're not German at all. They're from the University of Michigan, which is hysterical.
So they just decided to say it like
unbelievable band. Check them out. They're so much fun. You've heard some of their music.
Genre?
It's like funk meets rockish meets R&B. It's fucking weird, but it's just amazing. But the punchline to all this is Corey Wong is like was their guitarist, and when they're on hiatus, he goes off and does his own thing, and I am fucking obsessed with Corey Wong and his band. Like you guys would love Corey Wong's music. Absolutely incredible. He's an incredible guitarist.
Is he from Wolfpack? Is that it?
He played in Wolfpack as well.
Okay.
Yeah. His band's opening up for Dave Matthews, right? And it's like one of those things where like my buddy who is a huge Dave Matthews fan, like is kind of a stalker of Corey Wong at this point of his life. So when they started talking and referencing each other on social media, he's sitting there, he's like, oh, no way, this is not going to happen, right? And like Corey Wong was like on a podcast. He has an incredible music podcast you should listen to if you're looking for a show to listen to. He starts jamming out to some Dave Matthews on his show, and my buddy Jeff like fucking loses his shit and sends me a recording of the podcast. Like, you have to hear this, blah blah blah. And then I fucking scooped him about who's opening up for Dave Matthews at the Gorge, and he fucking lost it. Like this is like a moment for him. Like he appreciates that relationship with music probably 100x what I feel. And I'm pretty fucking excited about it. Right. So he's gonna absolutely lose his shit, in the most amazing place to lose your shit, which is the Gorge.
I started to say this earlier too. You're talking about like we were talking about live shows, and live recorded live shows. Is there was a very brief period, and I wish it would have caught on, and I wish you still could do this. Some artists do sell their live shows, like every live show. But I remember going to see Mo in 2003,
yeah.
and they were one of those people that did the instant live thing. And so when you walked into the show, someone would be there. Like as soon as you got your ticket stamped or ripped or whatever, they would say, "Hey, do you want to buy the concert? Do you want to buy the show tonight?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And so they would record. They would just basically from the motherboard just burn hundreds of CDs of the live show. And as soon as you walked out, if you had your ticket that you purchased the show, you just give it to them and they would give you the CD of the show you just watched.
Awesome.
And they did that from like 2003 to like 2005 or 6. And like I know the Allman Brothers did that. Mo did that. There's several artists that did that. And I love that idea of like, how many times would you love to see or hear the show that you went to? And it just never caught on, or maybe just because when the iPod and all that really got popular, it killed the CD market.
I wish that I could have that, because I mean, you see a performance and it's like you almost immediately make a playlist of all of those songs, but it's not the same.
But
you know what? Like same performance, but
Nugs.net does that a lot.
Yeah, Nugs does that. Yeah. Same as like Widespread Panic does that a lot too. Like there's like Fish. There's a lot of jam bands will still do that.
Sure.
But as in just any other artist. Like I mean, think about it. It could be Billy Joel. It could be anybody. Like, hey, like, do you want the show that you just saw tonight? Like, yeah, sure. Because I would love to go back and listen to.
Oh, man, I think about like all the great bands I've really come to love. I've learned about through their live recordings.
By the way, I didn't type this, so I think Jack typed this.
Yeah, he sure did.
Oh, okay. I wondered. Yeah, like I started saying as well, like earlier, like my college live CD. There's a couple I always listened to, of course, the Owen Brothers Live at Fillmore East, and but the main one we listened to a lot was Talking Heads. Stop Making Sense.
Oh yeah.
I love that live album. It's definitely my top 3, even though it's never recognized as a great live album.
Oh no,
compared to like a lot of people. But I will listen to that over their studio records any day of the week. It just has more of a swing to it. It gets me up. I just love that record. And then
go
ahead.
No, you're right. It is a really good, and I'm glad that you mentioned that as a live album, because I think it goes through so many different movements within that performance too, and it does feel very electric or live. I mentioned this before, but if you have Netflix, Documentary Now, a spoof comedy show where they spoof fake documentaries, you don't have to. It's an anthology, so you can just jump around to which ones that you find interesting. But if you like Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense, they do a spoof of that as a documentary. And I mean, it's obviously not the Talking Heads, but it is. And the way they do it, it's spot on, a send off of that. So
there's a cover band coming to this area for Talking Heads. And I kind of want to go see them, but I'm like, but it's not David Byrne.
One of the songs that I Speaking in Tongues album is my favorite album.
Yeah.
But Slippery People is got such a good groove to that the lyrics are just complete nonsense to the point where like I don't care what you're saying, but that groove on that is just so good. There are certain songs that I feel like that we come across and it's like I just want to live in that sound, or that feeling of that song, So
it's things like, especially when it comes to sound, it's when because I know that Matt and I really like Brian Eno a lot, And the older I get, the more respect
Fuck
I
you,
have.
Chris. You don't like Brian Eno.
He does. I just don't think I don't know. I don't want to put words in Chris's mouth. But like the older I get and the more I get into music, I've always been into music, the more I respect producers of like what they did, you know. And like I know Chris really likes you too. Like they're not my favorite band.
I mean, I'm good with them. I'm not like
I thought you really liked you too. Okay. Anyway, but like you know, the more I get into Brian Eno and the more and what he does, when I hear what he did on Joshua Tree, especially with Streets Have No Name, and like and you kind of go, we're Talking Heads, or you're like he's the guy who really, even though you had a solid structure, a backbone of a song here, he's the one that took it up to that 11, you know, as you might say, you know, of just giving it that ambience of the sound, you know. And, anyway.
Well, I mean, it's like George Martin is synonymous with making the Beatles, you know. But yes, that producer.
You know, I saw something with him on it recently. Maybe it was. Are you still talking about the documentary?
Which one
from before? I saw Brian Eno on something recently. It was like I think it must have been some type of what the fuck? Where did I see
Dune? Was it on Dune?
Oh no! What the fuck? Why did I see him? That's gonna drive me nuts. I definitely saw him on something recently because they kind of go back and they show what he looked like back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, right. Exactly. What the fuck?
He's someone that definitely looked better as he aged. You know, like,
I always wanted, missed opportunity, and I don't know what happened creatively between them, but you know, Bowie and Eno, they worked together, and they had the trilogy in the 70s, and then in the 90s they had Outside, which I loved that album. The 9 Inch Nails song aside, I liked the fact that they were kind of creating this really kind of like this drama or this crime mystery opera almost, you know, with this weird space thing. And there was going to be 2 more. Like that was the initial idea, is they were going to make another trilogy, Eno and Bowie. And so we never really got that. It was like they did Outside, and then Bowie ended up doing like Earthling. And then he just kind of went in it. He just kind of went in a different direction and never went back to Eno. And I was always like, dude, like I feel like this would have been, you know, I just a personal missed opportunity there with, you know.
I think Bowie was probably a little difficult to work with.
You think?
Yeah, just a little bit. Because like the more I read about just even Under Pressure, when I read about every person of the Queen and their point of view of that song, and then I read about what Bowie said about the song, I realized like, oh wow, like that's when you have a lot of really smart people, you know, it's hard to really get along, you know, and get the song.
Well, and you know, you think that it's going to be like, hey, this is like the Justice League of Society. We're all in this together, guys. You know, let's go fight a common enemy. But it's not really like that. You know, like we all like to imagine that the Beatles live together in one big house, like in the movie Help. But you know, in reality, they had their separate lives. You know, and that those kind of stigmas of as far as like the personality or who they were. I mean, I know many of my heroes, I wouldn't, you know, probably get along with them or like who they are as people.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I can't enjoy their music, you know, and I can't separate those things out. You know, so long as like I don't find out that they're committing genocide or rape or, you know,
I actually fully believe that, like that old expression of like never meet your heroes. You know?
Right.
I 100% agree with that because you kind of built them up in your head in a way, and when you meet them, you realize they're human, you know, and their opinions might be different than your opinions, or what you think of this song or this film or whatnot.
Right.
And then like, no, I just did that because of blah blah blah. You know.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Like the creative direction. I was even when I was listening to the podcast on Shogun, like one of the actors that plays Blackthorn, he was just like, well, I took it as this way. And I'm like, really? You're not going to talk about this moment? Because I feel like this moment, your character changed. But to him, it was just like, no. It's not until this moment that this character changes. And I'm like, huh, Okay, well, I guess we can have our difference of opinion on that.
Right.
Because that's the great thing about art is that it's put out there, and the audience, just like in a live performance, the audience is the person that's filling in the gaps, all of the cracks, all of the, they're the ones that are making the circle complete. Like art isn't complete until it has that receiver or that recipient to like respond to it in some way.
Well,
I
to
finally
me-
figured it out.
okay.
Sorry, I've been half listening, half researching, like I normally do,
Right.
and it's been driving me nuts. But it was the reason. Did I hear about it from you, Nick, that he wrote like a whole thing of music for the Apollo anniversary?
He did. He wrote in '83. He wrote a soundtrack for a film about the Apollo landings, and then he went back to it like a decade later, and then added another disc to it.
Yeah,
It's actually quite a good record if you want just the ambience of,
that's where I made the connection from. Did I learn about that from you, or did we learn that separately from
you
this
probably
conversation?
separately. I don't think I ever brought it up before, but
Yeah, I found it like fucking amazing. Like it's like this whole, is it the 2022 Space Odyssey? Oh, for fuck's sake, this is amazing.
yeah.
This is like when you just put your headphones on at night
Well,
after.
there's a bunch of them. Like I love all four parts of the ambient albums. There's another one he did called The Pearl in '84. That's it's like Bud, Jumping Bud. It's piano and then his sounds. Like a lot of Brian Eno's ambient stuff I love. I mean, even his '70s stuff where he actually is writing lyrics and some good tunes. Like those are great. I just love basically all the '70s and '80s Brian Eno. The '90s and on, it's got its moments. Sometimes it gets a little out there for me personally, but yeah, like he's not for everybody. There's a lot of artists that are that way though. Like
I will also say, like, I will really dig on some instrumental music because if I'm reading, like, I love to put on music as I'm reading that doesn't have lyrics, because then I can it's almost like the sound.
You will love Wolfpack.
Okay. I have put it in my queue
Or
here on
Corey
my phone.
Wong, both of them.
Okay. But I'll make
some
a reading playlist just so that I can just kind of like, here's a bunch of different instrumental stuff, and if I don't like a track, I can always skip it. But it kind of creates a soundtrack. So
I had a point I really wanted to make before Chris spoke, and I forgot.
Well,
Sorry.
fuck you, Chris. Why did you have to make
No. Well, whatever you were talking about, Matt.
My fucking
I was
ADHD
just
brain went off in,
going
like, 4 different
on a
directions.
tangent about like the listener and the audience, like filling in.
Oh, that's it.
Because
that's what I'm saying. Like to me, that's what great art is. Like it doesn't matter if it's paintings or pictures or music or films or anything. Is that when the artist allows the viewer or the consumer to have their own concept about their concept, I think that's what makes art last. And that, like just take like Bohemian Rhapsody, for example. What's that song mean?
No idea.
Exactly.
It's about killing a man.
See? But like I'm saying, like some people say it's about Freddie Mercury's struggle coming out as a gay man. Some people say it's an opera about a young man who's being forced by the mafia and he has to kill somebody and run away from it, and then you realize he's a doomed man. There's so many different versions of what this song means, and that to me is what makes art, and that it means something different to you versus us. We all find a value in this, and whereas if someone just straight up tells you, you're kind of like, oh, it kind of ruins it in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what I also like about historical related dramas, and the fact that it's history, but it's not. It's like a variation of that. I guess there's something. Okay.
Just take more, Chris.
One last thing I just wanted to mention about that aspect of, we were talking about meeting our heroes or what have you, but it reminded me, uh, David Bowie, the day he died, or the day that it was officially released, it occurred on the anniversary of my mom's death. So it was like the same day. And so I was, so it hit me kind of in a weird way where like, and I've listened to a lot of his music. It's just been, it's usually studio music. I listen to his music probably more when I paint or when I make art than probably the Beatles, honestly. Like it's just, it's kind of, inspiring, or it gets you up and going anyway. But I just was like, yeah, I don't feel anything for this. It's like, I'm sorry for his family, but like, I didn't know him. He brought me joy in his music, but
wait, you didn't enjoy Black Star? Is that what you're saying?
I couldn't listen to Black Star when it dropped. I could not listen to it. I was just like, nope, can't do this right now. It actually took me until like COVID 2020 where I was like, okay, I'm ready to deal with this. And I listened to it, and I love Lazarus. I love Black Star. But I guess my point being is that we all, like, we hear about our, people that we know and celebrities or what have you, but they're not really people that we know.
Right.
And when they die, it's like, sure, that's sad for them, but we truly don't know them.
No.
And the people that we're closer to, oftentimes kind of go.
I'm of the opinion that we never really know anybody.
Oh wow, we're going there.
Yeah. I mean,
that's just like, I just want to go to sleep, guys.
Yeah.
But I'm also
we're gonna get deep. We're gonna let Chris ride that existential wave.
We do have to take another commercial break because this episode's gone long.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that's what. Sometimes I don't know. Maybe that's just me because I can be bitter at times. There's when people come up to you and like, oh well, I know you, Matt, and you kind of part of me wants to go, fuck you. You don't know me.
Well,
you know this part of me. I'm not saying that
I'll say that even if you do know me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, to the defense of a listener that I may have snapped back at,
right.
People tune in and they listen to us all the time, and for many people that are listening to us talk now, it's like we're in a room having a conversation with you, and you're like, oh, I know these people. I feel comfortable enough with them. I feel that I can treat them like shit. But sometimes you don't know us,
right.
Like we're our own. Chris is giving me a certain like,
No, well, here's what I think about that. So people who think that they know it depends on how much of a relationship you have with that person, and because we constantly grow as human beings, we're constantly learning, we're constantly changing. And so just because I was friends with someone 5 years ago, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago.
Right.
However,
sure.
Like us three, we talk to each other at least once a week. And so we constantly teach and learn from each other. So we are constantly growing as a podcast group together.
Yeah. No,
so in a way, yes, we know each other because we're current in our growth.
Yeah.
But if you're not keeping up in that relationship, when someone says, oh, well, I know you, it's like, you knew me 5 years ago. You don't know me now. True. And so that's kind of what I mean is that you never really know a person because we're constantly evolving. Not to get totally deep.
No. And I'm
no, Nick, that was just deep enough.
And I am by no means like trying to put the listener or listeners down by saying that you don't know us, you don't fucking know, because they do, and we do appreciate you listening. It's not, this show isn't created in a complete vacuum, but truly though, it is odd how much we do know each other with the amount of time that we spend weekly tuning in and getting caught up. And anyway, on that note, we
end up liking the same shit too, which is really weird too.
And not knowing that we like the same shit on.
It's kind of like we're almost like the male version of the cycle. When you get a bunch of hens in the house, and all of a sudden their cycles line up because that's just how it works. That's kind of what we do. as dudes.
Well,
Kinda
like I
what we
said,
do
like
as dudes, yeah.
I think everyone yearns for something that's good,
Sure.
and that's what I'm saying is like, so if I find something that's like, dude, this is fucking good,
I'm gonna let you know about it.
I'm gonna let you know about it.
Yep.
And and if something sucks, guess what? I'm gonna let you
I'm
know
gonna fucking tell you about it.
And
Oh, Nick's gonna tell you.
I'm gonna tell you, even if you don't want to know.
No, we talked about a lot of different things tonight, and hopefully the listeners.
But like, when was the last time any of us brought up some show that we were watching, and one of us was like, "No, dude, that fucking show sucks." Like,
well, you guys went on a hate binge for Manifest.
That's
but
true.
we hate loved it.
And
Yeah.
I was like looking at you two, like, I can't.
That was
Anakin,
really
you're
weird.
going to a place I can't
It was a
go.
dark period.
But for what it's worth, we both felt the same about it.
We
Yeah.
did. We did.
It's like we weren't going against each other. We're agreeing with like the level of hatred flowing through us, like Palpatine trying to fucking make me crack. It was so bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Yeah. And the thing is, it was one of those shows though. Like it was so bad, but you were so intrigued. Of like,
Yeah.
I just want to know the ending. I just want to know
How are
it
they
ends.
going to unfuck this story?
I
Are they?
assume that's how listeners feel about this podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
for
how are they going to end it?
Yeah,
How...
fuck you, listeners.
You don't know. You don't know.
I love you. I love you.
It's a love hate. We hate to love. We love to hate.
We've been doing this for 8 years. 8 years.
Have we?
fucking years.
8 years?
Yeah.
Jeez.
2016 until when us three started.
I mean, I might have some like underwear that's older than this, but not by much.
God.
I don't have any underwear that old.
I don't know why that came to my mind. I was gonna say like I have
Second they start getting holes, there they go.
Yeah. I had that happen just the other day. I was like, where did this rip come from? All of a sudden my ass is gone.
See you later, draws.
Yeah, it gave it up just like that. Sorry. Side topic.
Go ahead. When I bought the house, I have a closet, but I don't have like any shelves or dresser drawer or anything. But I finally bought a dresser drawer a month ago or so, and I was last weekend or maybe the weekend before. I had just them in piles in the closet. Like, oh, here's my khakis, here's jeans, here's blah blah blah. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna start putting stuff in the dressers now. Like, so I had to put on every pair of pants before I was like, all right. And Jesus Christ,
10% of them fit.
Oh God, yes. I was just like, you fat motherfucker. You're like, you're fat when like the legs just start squeezing before you can get it. You don't even hit your waist yet. And you're like, when did I wear these? When could I ever fit into these pants?
Dude, all right. So fun fact, and I need to go to bed after this, but like
no, Jackson Gladfelter is actually trying to get us legitimately to close out the show. He's like, have any emails?
Yeah, right. Thanks, Jackson. So like today, I'm going to a wedding in a couple of weeks. So I actually my wife's coworkers are still, some of them are still young and still at the age of getting married.
Oh yeah.
And so we've been out of the weddings like game for a while now. But also now we have to go to a wedding. There's no fucking chance my suit fits me, right? So I'm like, okay. Well, I'm also planning on trying to lose some weight, so I'm not gonna fucking go too crazy. I'm not gonna buy myself a suit. I had to go and rent a fucking suit today because I don't want to buy a fucking suit for what I am right now, knowing that I'm gonna lose 15 to 20 pounds. Like,
were you out biking today? Is that I saw
I
saw your B reel, and I saw that. I was like,
be real, yeah. Got the bike back out for the first time this year, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, it's always that. I hate it when it's like you get out on the bike and it's like, oh, it's windy. I'm going against the wind. I'm actually going backwards now.
Yeah. No, yeah, I got into biking quite a bit. End of summer, early fall.
A road bike, you got a fat tire.
I've debated about getting it.
It's a mountain bike. It's not a fat tire, but it's like a mountain bike style thing. But yeah, I've got a rail trail near my house, which is an old. I don't know if you guys have those where you are, but it's like an old, abandoned railroad that they converted into like a bike / walking path. It goes for about 35 miles.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, I don't go that far. I go about 10 miles in and turn around, but
sure.
A
good 20 miles is solid.
Yeah.
So
that's my my outlet.
We did not get emails, by the way.
Okay, we did not get any emails. So on
Sorry,
that note,
Jax. I know you really wanted one.
yep. Jackson, hope you are doing okay. I know that
Oh, that's right.
it doesn't have the surgery yet until later in May.
Well,
So
we got you, buddy.
Yep. So hang in there, and let us know. Give us updates as things progress. But we'll go ahead and close out this show at the 2-hour mark here that we're reaching. We have a couple patrons that make this show possible, and thank you for making this friendship with these podcasters happen. We'd like to thank Eckhart Richter, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with the plan, and Ed the creepy letter crazy poopy carrier of diseases.
Matt, you did a nice job this week. I want to thank you for being a great producer.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, it was fun. It was fun being back in this hosting seat. So next week it'll probably be back to Jack. But until then, thank you. Hasta luego and sayonara.
See ya.
See ya.
Boop-doop-de-doo.